When I got promoted, my MIL said, "Hope it doesn't make you forget how to cook." So I sent her a calendar invite for dinner, with the subject line, "Proof I can multitask." She brought store-bought cookies. I served 5 courses. She took notes. My name is Olivia. I live in Chicago with my husband, Ethan. We've been married for 5 years. I work in marketing at a mid-sized firm downtown. Recently, I got promoted to senior marketing manager. It was a big deal for me. I worked hard for it. Ethan was thrilled when I told him. He hugged me and said, "You deserve this, Liv." We decided to share the news with his family over dinner at their place. Ethan's parents, Margaret and Robert, live in the suburbs. Margaret has always been particular. She has strong opinions about how things should be, especially when it comes to family roles. She believes in traditional setups. Husbands work, wives manage the home. My career ambitions never sat well with her. At dinner, after some small talk, I shared my news. I got promoted to senior marketing manager. Robert smiled. "Congratulations, Olivia. That's impressive." Margaret's reaction was different. She pursed her lips, then said, "Hope it doesn't make you forget how to cook." The room went silent. Ethan's jaw tightened. I felt a flush creep up my neck, but forced a smile. "I think I can manage both." On the drive home, Ethan apologized for his mother. "She didn't mean it." I sighed. "She did, but it's okay. I'll handle it." Margaret's comment stayed with me. It wasn't just about cooking. It was about her belief that I couldn't balance a demanding job and home responsibilities. I wanted to prove her wrong. A few days later, I sent her a calendar invite for dinner at our place. The subject line read, "Proof I can multitask." She accepted. I spent the next week planning a 5-course meal. I wanted each dish to showcase my cooking skills and reflect the balance I maintained between my career and home life. The menu: appetizer, bruschetta with heirloom tomatoes and basil. Soup, butternut squash soup with a hint of nutmeg. Salad, spinach and arugula with candied pecans, cranberries, and goat cheese. Main course, cocoa vin with garlic mashed potatoes. Dessert, homemade tiramisu. Los Angeles Times +3 Nashville banner +3 Reddit +3 the day of the dinner. I left work early to prepare. I wanted everything to be perfect. Margaret and Robert arrived on time. Margaret handed me a tin of store-bought cookies. Thought I'd bring something, just in case. I smiled. "Thank you. Come in." Ethan poured drinks while I put the finishing touches on the appetizer. As we sat down, I noticed Margaret observing everything closely. She didn't say much during the appetizer and soup courses, just nodded occasionally. During the salad course, she asked, "Did you make the dressing?" "Yes," I replied. "It's a balsamic vinaigrette." She nodded again. When I brought out the main course, Margaret's eyebrows raised slightly. "Cocoa vin. That's ambitious." I smiled. "It's one of Ethan's favorites." Robert took a bite. "This is excellent, Olivia." "Thank you." Margaret took a bite and said nothing. After dessert, as we sipped coffee, Margaret spoke. "You did all this after work?" "Yes," I said. "I enjoy cooking. It's a nice way to unwind." She was silent for a moment, then said, "I have to admit, I'm impressed." I looked at her, surprised. She continued, "I didn't think you could manage both a demanding job and home responsibilities. But you've proven me wrong." I smiled. "Thank you, Margaret. That means a lot." As they were leaving, Margaret handed me the tin of cookies. "Keep these. You've earned it." After they left, Ethan hugged me. "I'm proud of you." I leaned into him. "Thanks. I just wanted her to see that I can handle both." He kissed my forehead. "You did more than that. You changed her perspective." I smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. It wasn't just about the dinner. It was about breaking stereotypes and proving that women can balance career and home life successfully. The week after the dinner, things were quiet. Too quiet. Ethan and I were settling into our new routine. My promotion came with longer hours and more meetings, but I was managing. I planned meals ahead, cleaned during my breaks, and even squeezed in early morning yoga. I thought Margaret had finally backed off. Then, Ethan got a call from her one evening. He was in the kitchen making tea. I was in the living room going over campaign data on my laptop. His voice changed tight, clipped. He came back with a weird look on his face. "My mom wants us to come over this weekend," he said. "Why?" I asked without looking up. "She says she's planning a family brunch. Said she wants to show off her real multitasking skills." I looked up. "She said that?" He nodded. Exact words. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It felt like a dig. Like she couldn't stand that I had one-upped her at my dinner. This wasn't over. Not for her. So we went. Saturday morning. I wore a simple dress, nothing flashy. Margaret greeted us with forced cheer. She had prepared a massive spread, quiches, homemade muffins, fresh fruit, even a mimosa bar. Everything labeled with little cards like she was hosting a cooking show. I played along, smiling, complimenting her food. But under the table, my fists were tight. Midway through the meal, she said, "Olivia, dear, I hope you're not working too hard now. Promotions come and go. But family meals are forever." Ethan shot her a warning look. I held my tongue. Robert tried to change the subject, asking about my latest campaign at work. I answered briefly, trying not to sound like I was bragging. Margaret cut in, back in my day, women knew their place. We didn't need promotions to feel proud. There it was. She had said it out loud, in front of everyone. Like a slap across the table. I swallowed hard, feeling heat rise in my face. Ethan's hand found mine under the table, gave it a squeeze. When we got home, I was quiet. Angry. Not sad, angry. Why does she do this? I asked. What does she get out of putting me down? Ethan rubbed his temples. She doesn't understand women like you. That you can want more and still love your family. She's challenging me. Again. He sighed. What are you going to do? I'm going to raise the stakes. The next day, I started planning something bigger. I decided to host a formal dinner for our extended families, mine and his. A total of 12 people. I rented real tableware. Printed menus. Hired a violinist to play background music. I took 2 days off work to prep, but I cooked every dish myself. On the invitation, I wrote, "A celebration of strength in every form." The night came. Everyone arrived dressed up. My parents were beaming. Ethan looked proud. Margaret walked in, eyes scanning the setup, her smile tight. I served dish after dish. Every flavor was balanced. Timing was perfect. People were laughing, chatting. Even Robert seemed relaxed. But then, Margaret stood up, glass in hand. She topped it with a spoon. The room quieted. "I want to say something," she began. "Olivia, this is impressive. Truly. But I have a question. How long can you really keep this up?" The silence was sharp. She continued, "I'm just being practical. You're working late, managing the home. Now you're running events like this. Something will break." I stood up, calm, steady. "Margaret," I said, "you might be right. Something might break. But it won't be me." The air shifted. She looked startled. I sat back down. The conversation picked up again slowly, like a train regaining speed. Ethan reached for my hand under the table. This time, I squeezed his. But it wasn't over. A week later, I found out Margaret had called my mother. Said she was worried about me. That I might be spreading myself too thin. That maybe I was making these dinners to overcompensate for guilt. Guilt from working too much. My mom told me right away. "She doesn't want you to win, live," she said. "She wants you to shrink." Now I knew. This wasn't about dinner. It wasn't about roles. It was about control. About her losing it. And I wasn't done. The phone call from my mom stayed with me for days. Margaret wasn't just trying to make a point anymore. She was planting seeds, making quiet calls, whispering doubts into people's ears. The dinner wasn't a turning point for her. It was a threat. At work, I stayed focused, but every time my phone lit up with her name, I felt my stomach twist. I didn't answer anymore. I was tired of her games. Ethan offered to talk to her again, but I told him no. I needed to handle it my way. A few weeks later, something strange happened. My boss called me into his office. Said someone had anonymously emailed HR about me, accused me of taking personal calls during work, spending too much time on non-work related emails, and planning private events during company hours. At first, I was stunned. Then I laughed bitterly. I haven't taken a personal call in weeks, I told him. You can check the logs. He nodded. I know. This is just protocol. But, Olivia, do you know who might want to undermine you? My heart was thudding. There were only a handful of people who even knew about the time I took off to prep for that big dinner. Only one person who'd shown increasing hostility since my promotion. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But something had shifted. I went home that night and told Ethan. He was furious. You think it was her? I know it was, I said. That's insane, he said. Why would she go that far? Because she can't control me anymore. We didn't talk to Margaret for 2 weeks. Then she showed up at our door. Unannounced. It was a Sunday. I was in leggings and a hoodie, hair up in a bun, planning meals for the week. Ethan answered the door. She walked in like nothing had happened, holding a plastic container of banana bread. I figured you two missed me, she said. I stayed sitting on the couch. She handed the bread to Ethan, then looked at me. Olivia, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Again. I stared at her. You contacted my mother. You talked to HR. Her face changed. Excuse me? I know it was you, I said, standing up now. No one else would even think to go that far. You want to control the story. You want people to think I can't handle my life, so you can feel better about yours. Ethan stepped between us. Mom, tell me it wasn't you. She blinked. Her hands tightened around her purse. I did what I thought was necessary. He backed away from her like she'd slapped him. I stood silent. I wasn't shocked. I was calm. This was confirmation, not revelation. I want you to leave, I said. You're kicking me out of my own son's house? No, Ethan said. We are. She looked at him, eyes wide. You're choosing her? I'm choosing sanity, he said. She stormed out. The banana bread stayed behind. That week, I filed a formal report with HR. I included every detail I suspected. I didn't name her, I didn't have proof, but I documented it. I also made copies of all my work logs, just in case. And then, something unexpected happened. My dad called. Liv, I need to tell you something, he said. Margaret called me. What? She wanted to know if you were always this ambitious. Said she was worried about your mental state. I sat down, cold all over. She said she was thinking of checking if you were okay. That maybe you were having a breakdown. I laughed. It sounded hollow. She's trying to build a narrative. She also asked if you and Ethan were in therapy. What? Exactly, he said. She's making it look like you're unstable. Like you're too overwhelmed to be taken seriously. The next day, I called a lawyer. I wanted to know my rights. I wasn't planning to sue anyone. Not yet. But I wanted to understand how far this could go, what she could do, what she couldn't. The lawyer listened, took notes, then said, if she ever tries to interfere with your job again, document it. Every text, every call, every anonymous complaint. This is the kind of thing that gets ugly. It already was. I changed the locks on the house. Ethan supported me. We both blocked her number for a while. Then one evening, Robert, Ethan's dad, called. I just want to say I'm sorry, he said. I didn't know what she was doing. I didn't know what to say. So I just listened. She's always had this idea that a woman's place is in the home. But that's her insecurity, not yours. I hope you know that. I thanked him. He paused, then said, she's not done. She's talking about seeing a lawyer. For what? Custody. Of your future children. I froze. What? She's saying she's concerned about your mental health. That if something were to happen, she wants to make sure she has access to the kids. You don't even have kids yet, and she's planning for war. I hung up and just sat there. She wasn't just trying to make a point anymore. She was preparing for something bigger. And I was too. After Robert's call, I felt something break inside me. She was planning custody for children that didn't even exist yet. This wasn't about dinner or even jealousy anymore. It was about control, power, and the worst part? She was doing it all with a smile, behind closed doors, making herself look like the concerned mother. I told Ethan everything. He didn't say much. He just listened. When I finished, he said, "She's lost it." "No," I said. "She knows exactly what she's doing." We talked late into the night. For the first time, I admitted something I'd been avoiding. "I've been playing into it," I said, trying to prove something to her. Cooking those meals, throwing that party. I wanted her approval. I gave her power every time I tried to win her over. Ethan didn't argue. Because it was true. I thought I was being strong. I continued. But I've been playing her game. So I decided to stop. No more dinners. No more invites. No more reacting. But I wasn't done. She wanted to act like I was unstable? I'd show her what unstable looked like when it was backed up by a full audit of behavior. I started compiling everything. Every comment. Every message. I even requested access to the original anonymous email from HR. Our company allows that under formal complaint procedures. And guess what? She used her personal email. The same one she used to send us Christmas pictures. I turned it all over to the lawyer. He filed a cease and desist letter. We sent it certified. She signed for it. 2 days later, she showed up at my office. Security called me from the lobby. I said no. She couldn't come up. She caused a scene. Security escorted her out. It was all caught on camera. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept thinking, what happens next? Would she calm down or escalate? She escalated. She posted about me on Facebook. A long post, vague but targeted, about a woman who climbed the career ladder but forgot how to be human. She even tagged Ethan in it. My inbox filled up with messages from extended family and old friends. Some confused. Some disgusted. One even asked, "Is she talking about you?" I didn't reply. I took screenshots. Every one of them. Then I made my move. I gathered every piece of evidence, emails, texts, that video from the lobby, the Facebook posts, and I sent a single email to every mutual family member who'd ever believed Margaret's version of things. Subject: the truth behind Margaret. The body? Just attachments. No commentary. No anger. Just facts. It hit like a bomb. People called. Some apologized. Some were horrified. A few said they always suspected something was off. Robert called Ethan, said Margaret had gone silent. That she was furious. Embarrassed. But the worst blow came a week later. Margaret lost her church committee position. Someone had forwarded my email. The church didn't want conflict in leadership. She wasn't removed, but she was asked to step down to focus on her family. Ethan and I moved. A new home across town. We didn't tell her the address. We didn't invite her to the housewarming. She sent a handwritten letter. It said, "I hope someday you realize what you've destroyed." I didn't respond. I slipped it into the back of my planner, behind the page that said, "Proof I can multitask. People make mistakes." I did too. I let her get under my skin. I played nice when I should have drawn the line earlier. I kept trying to earn the respect of someone who never intended to give it. I allowed her to turn a promotion into a battlefield. But in the end, I won. Not with screaming. Not with drama. With truth. With boundaries. With silence. And 5 well-documented courses of revenge.